first, I just want to say welcome back. She's back. So it's obviously been a really long time since the video has been posted. Obviously we're in a different setting. It's just me now. Not to say that it will always only be just me, but right now it is. So with all of that out of the way, I just want to say I'm super excited to be back. I'm super excited to be back making these videos, doing the podcast, and I feel like I just have grown a lot this year. I've gone through a lot this year, and life done showed me a lot this year. And I feel like this was like my space to be able to just get it out and just talk about it, just talk through it, and just knowing that a lot of the stuffs that I've dealt with this year, a lot of the realizations that I've come to this year, not things that only I have had to come to. I'm sure a lot of people in life have had to go through a lot of things, and some of the stuff that I might mention might not even be big things, but for me, a lot of pivotal moments occurred for me, and it was a lot working through some of those things. It was a lot going through those things. Thankfully I do have a really good support system in my corner, so I was able to make it through. And honestly, I feel like even if I didn't, it would have been really hard to make it through without that additional support. But being in the space where I am now and coming to some of the realizations that I've had to come to, and grow in some of the ways that I've had to grow, I think that I still would have been able to come out on top, because with God, all things are possible, and he definitely made a way for me in a lot of ways this year. So, and just throughout my life in general. So, one, I just want to say that this isn't, it's definitely going to be, okay, hold on, girl. One, I just want to say, this time a lot of stuff that I'll be talking about or discussing will be a little more closer to home. But I definitely think that it's all things that everybody, if not most people in life, have had to go through. In some ways, it may look different for everyone. So it's going to be a lot more lifestyle, life-based versus like the other topics and stuff that were discussed before. So as far as for today, I just kind of want to jump right in. Like I said, I've been gone for a long time. It's been basically a year since anything has been posted or I've made any videos. So just to start from the top, I moved. No longer in Dallas. I'm still in Texas, but I am now in Houston, on the outskirts, but in Houston, to keep it there. And it was definitely a big decision for me to make, but it's a decision that I'm glad that I made. I don't think that if I would have, I don't think that if I wouldn't have, let me make sure I'm saying it right, girl. I feel like if I wouldn't have made that decision, I don't know where I would be mentally. I do know that some of the things that I've had to kind of overcome wouldn't have happened, but I do think that I would still be comfortable. I would still be in a comfortable space of living, and I don't know if that's healthy to just be comfortable. I don't know if it's healthy to just go through life and just go through with this same routine that you have had for the past 7-8 years. So I just feel like I needed something different. I needed something new. I've obviously lived away from Dallas before, but not by myself. So, and even this move, I didn't necessarily, got my notes down here. I didn't necessarily take by myself. My sister came with me, so I still had somebody with me, but we're both adults, but we're 8 years apart, so life looks a little different for both of us. Some stuff, we're not into all of the same things, and it's still just us. Whereas in Dallas, we have our family, we have our friends, so it's a little bit different. And so the adjustment has been a lot, and it was definitely a quick decision, and things moved a lot faster than I actually expected them to, as far as me moving from Dallas to Houston. So I don't think that I fully thought out the entire process, and that just brings me to let me start here. So I moved in July. So the job that I have, there was opportunities, and I knew that Dallas wasn't going to be forever for me. For a long time, actually, these last couple of years, I've been saying I was going to move to Colorado, but that would just be a huge jump, girl. So I had to reel it back in, and so when I saw this particular opportunity available, I immediately jumped on it. I came home, and really, I was sitting at work one day with my mentor, and I just said, "Oh, if y'all need somebody there, I'm ready. I'll go. And at first, it was kind of like a joke, like I was just joking about it. But then I actually started thinking about it a little bit, and I was like, maybe I do need something different. I know Dallas in and out. That's home. That's born and raised. And so I went home. I talked to my sister about it because I do have a daughter. I have a 7-year-old, so any decisions I make, I have to make sure that I would be able to have support with me to help take care of her and stuff. So, and my sister we already lived together. So, I talked to her about it, and she was just like, sure. At first, she was kind of hesitant, but then she was like, okay, maybe we do something new. So we decided that it was a go. I went back to work, and I was like, yeah, so about that, I'm for real. Like, what are we doing? Y'all need somebody? Y'all want me to go? Y'all need somebody to go? I'll go. So it was a go. And originally the plan was for me to move in August, because that's when my lease where I lived at the time was gonna be up. But I came to, mind you, I didn't have anywhere to stay in Houston. I've been to Houston several times, so I know the city a little bit, but anytime that I've come, it's been on some vacation type of thing. So I didn't know I wasn't gonna be in North Houston. That wasn't happening. So I came down in June. I was here for like 3 weeks, and then while I was here, I ended up finding a house that I fell in love with. The neighborhood I fell in love with is quiet. It's far, but it's like my own little piece, and it had exactly what I needed and what I wanted. It actually had more rooms than what I was originally looking for. So it aligned. It all made sense. So I applied for the house. I found the house the first week that I was here in June, and then by the second week, after I finished looking, I looked at some apartments and everything. I just wanted to be sure of what I wanted, and a really big thing for me too, since I do have a kid, and she was coming from a school that I really loved. So I wanted to make sure that transitioning her from all that she knows to a new city was gonna be smoothish. So I asked around. I asked some of the people that I do know here, you know, what some of the good school districts were, and so we settled on a specific area. And so by week 2, I had gotten approved for the house that I wanted. By week 3, I put down my deposit, and now I'm looking for movers. And I come back, and before I came back, I told my mentor at the time. You know, hey, I got something. I'm good to go. I'm ready for August. The date is gonna be this date. And then when I came, right before I got ready to come back to Dallas from my Houston trip, my job was just like, hey, we heard you found something. Do you want to go sooner? And so I ended up coming back home. I ended up having to lock down movers to be ready to move me that following week. So all in all, I ended up moving in July, the beginning part of July. When I got here, I moved on July 5th. The hurricane hit on the 8th. I had no furniture. I had just gone grocery shopping, I had spent like $500 on groceries, and here I am sitting in this house, this empty house, no furniture, all this food, and no electricity. Can't go anywhere for like days at a time. And in that moment, I felt like, was this what I was supposed to do? Like, was I supposed to make this move? I feel like I hadn't. Anytime before I make a big decision, I've always been really big on going into a praying space about it, to make sure that any decision that I'm making aligns with where God is wanting to move me. So I didn't really do that before I made this move. So in that moment, I was really going through a lot of like, you just got here, and before that, everything was falling in place the way that it was supposed to. So it was a lot. So anyway, in the midst of all of that, in the midst of, you know, the city trying to come back together, I still had to go to work. Because, okay, let's go back for just a second. In the New Year's video that we posted, where we discussed friendships, at the end of the video, everybody made a statement of what they wanted to see happen for them the following year, which is this present year. And so one of the things that I mentioned was that it was that I wanted to be a supervisor. It was what I'd always wanted, since I've been working in this particular field. So that did happen for me at the beginning of this year. After I did have some setbacks. What is that? Anyway, I finally got the position that I wanted in March. So, and that played a big part into the opportunities that were available for me here. So anyway, after the hurricane hit that same week, I still had to go to work. I was here because of what was needed here. So I still had to go to work. So it was just a lot. It was a lot that was going on. My kid wasn't here yet. She wasn't here yet. So I was here by myself, in a house, no electricity, nothing. So just to kind of go through a few things. So I've been here since July, and it's now December. So that's about 6 months-ish, 6-ish months. And a lot has happened within that time. So back home in Dallas, while I was in Dallas, anytime I have needed for anyone to step in for me, parental wise, I've always had people to depend on. So even though I have my sister here with me, we both have our own lives, and like, you know, we're growing, and it is just us. So sometimes it can become really spread thin. So I just started to go through a few things where you know, my daughter would have stuff for school that she would need for someone to be there for, or it would be like grandparent day or parents day, or they're having something after school. And like I said, I work far from where I live, so I just really started to go through a lot of stuff where I was beginning to have mom guilt, because I've always been really big on making sure that there's always someone there. There's always someone there for her in the event that I can't be there. Typically my mom would fill in, but I don't have that here. So I went through and then my sister and I's schedule started to kind of conflict a little bit. So it was just a lot of like both of us trying to figure out how to make that work so that we can make sure, you know, that stuff was in place. So I say all that to say that some of the other pieces, I had to really learn how to trust the process, and it was hard, but I came to the realization that I've always had a life and lived a life where I have been able to be comfortable depending on everybody. Well, I'm not gonna say everybody because I can't depend on everybody, but I've always had support that I've been able to depend on instantly. And so I had to really learn that when you make rash decisions, you have to be prepared for some of the things that come with that. But I also had to learn that I had to learn I had to not be so dependent on structure, which is huge for me. I'm a Virgo, so if anybody knows, Virgos are very like, everything has to be planned out. Everything has to make sense. Everything has to align. Like I'm very like particular about a lot of things. So just not being able to have plans and not being able to, having to go through a lot of like, okay, I've always said I don't want my kid to have to ride the bus. Now I gotta make plans for her to ride the bus. Now I have to make sure that her schedule matches our schedules, and I just had to go through a lot of figuring out. And I have always had mostly my mom there to help me figure out. So, and it's really funny because me and my best friend were talking about it when I was kind of going through this stuff, and I said God is really, really showing me something. Like, I have had to get extremely uncomfortable this year. I have really had to go through some discomfort. And to a lot of people it might be small stuff, but for me it wasn't. It was huge, because for the first time I was actually put in a position of, you made a decision, and not that it's necessarily a bad decision, because I don't think moving to Houston was a bad decision. It has actually worked out now, but you made a decision. Sometimes in life you might not be able to have mama not gonna always be right there, or whoever else is not gonna always be right there to pick up the pieces or fill in for you. So you have to figure out how to make things work. You have to figure out what it truly means. So I'm single parent, right? But within that, I have been extremely lucky to have a huge support system in my family. So I haven't really, until now, I haven't really had to go through a time of just having nobody there, or less people there. So it really put me in a place of uncertainty and discomfort. It made me extremely uncomfortable, and I began to just kind of feel like, you know, I have all of these things that I've wanted. I have the position that I wanted. I live in a nice place. I live in a nice area. I'm stable now. Felt like I was emotionally stable, and like, why is all this stuff happening? Because not only was I having to deal with being uncomfortable and making decisions for my household, but now I'm also uncomfortable in the position that I'm in at work, because there was a lot of stuff going on there, and it kind of just made me, I felt like I was backed into a wall. But going back to the conversation that me and my best friend were having, I mentioned that, like, I'm really being put in a lot of uncomfortable positions right now, and I feel like it was a lesson. I really do. I feel like it was a test, and I feel like it was a long time coming. I will say that too. I feel like I now know what it means when people say you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And I don't want to be uncomfortable no more. So I just had to put on my big girl shoes and make some shape. But overall, I just wanted to come back and just kind of, I will just say, in life, there's going to be challenges. In life, we're going to make decisions that at the moment may feel like the best decision, and in the end, it could still be the best decision. But just because it's the best decision doesn't mean that you're not going to go through something within those times. So that's really all for this video. I just wanted to kind of come back, do a quick little where I've been. That's where I've been, living life. Quick, she's back, I'm back. There's gonna be more videos, more topics based on just different things that go on throughout life. And just bear with me through this process. Anyways, I'm gonna go because I don't know what's happening right now. But I thank anybody that has tuned in. Continue to stay tuned, more coming. And yeah, we're good.